Hi, I am Gigi and I'm an ex-Amazon bar raiser here at Day One Careers. Now before I go on, please do give this video a like so it can reach other candidates with the same questions as you. So, what is the culture like at Amazon? Was probably my least favourite question asked of me when I was interviewing for Amazon. I interviewed many hundreds of candidates and I could almost guarantee at every interview, what is the culture like at Amazon would come up. It was my least favourite question really because I got to admit, I just didn't really understand what they meant. Culture means so many different things and I had really no idea what meaning they in particular were applying to it. And I kind of felt I gave really vague and unhelpful answers as a result. So after my first 100 or so, I switched tactics. So when I was asked, what is the culture like at Amazon? I'd ask them to be more specific with their questions. This move was a bit of a revelation, and I actually managed to give people the information that they wanted. So this is a little mini series that covers the main themes that came out of that tactic. In this video, we're covering another very popular interpretation of culture, and that's performance management. For those people who mean performance management when they ask what is the culture like at Amazon, generally it's because they've read a whole lot of information online on places like Reddit, Team Blind, Glassdoor about how strategic Amazon is in its performance management tactics, with a concept called hire to fire that seems to be bandied about the online world. In this video, I'll explain the structures Amazon uses to track employee performance, and then I will give you my thoughts on this hire to fire concept. As an Amazon manager, twice a year, you have to submit a trajectory rating for your team members. This process is called OLR, Organization and Leadership Review. There are 3 levels that you can submit an employee in. They used to be called top tier, highly valued and least effective. Then I think it changed to highly valued, high and low. Who knows what it is at the moment, but you get the point. 3 performance levels. Now, Amazon has swung backwards and forwards between mandating and not mandating specific percentages of employees to fit into each bucket. As far as I'm aware, the most recent policy is to mandate that 5% of employees are placed in the lowest bucket. A meeting is then held with senior leadership, usually up to kind of the business level's VP level, to discuss these submissions. All managers of people attend, although you are required to leave once the discussion turns to your level of seniority, so you don't hear discussions about your peer group and obviously yourself. At the same meeting, a discussion will also be had about forecasting promo cycles and how to support employees to advance their ambitions and get them to a promotion. In this video, I'll take you through what happens to those who are considered in the lowest bucket, and in a following video, I'll take you through what is done to support people towards a promotion. OLRs are not entirely nefarious affairs as suggested by what is written online by former employees. Employees who are considered to be in the lowest bucket go on a list for development. Used to be called the dev list, now it's called focus. Once on focus, you are required to go on a performance improvement plan. That's a PIP. Performance improvement plans can be initiated by managers outside of the OLR process, but in truth, the majority happen as a result of this process because in general, I guess few managers really want to put their team members on a PIP unless they really have to. Being on focus also means you can't move teams without approval from your VP. That's really to mitigate managers effectively trying to avoid the issue of an underperforming employee by just moving them on around the business. If you believe what you read online, the being moved onto a PIP is a one-way ticket to being fired. Well, honestly, that isn't my personal experience of PIP. As a manager, I put a number of people through the PIP process and only one of them ended up deciding to voluntarily leave Amazon. And more broadly, in the teams that I've worked in, more people remained after a PIP than left. But of course, there's no way I can claim that my experience of this process is the true experience. I'm only one person, and I by no means invalidate the experiences of other people. But do please take a second just to reflect on the bias of information that you're seeing online. Very few people who successfully conclude a PIP will brag about it on forums and blogs. The only people with an incentive to do so will be those that really just don't make it through. So just be aware this information is true, maybe true, but the information online is biased by the nature of the profile of the sample it represents. Now, I just want to clarify briefly what a performance improvement plan is. Once an employee is put onto focus, a meeting should happen between the employee and their manager, where the news is shared and they agree on a timeline for the PIP along with a set of deliverables and expected standards of output. The timeline usually runs between 1 to 2 months, and a good manager should check in weekly with their employee, offering feedback on the progress and offering a reasonable level of support. If the employee delivers successfully on the PIP, their manager must write a document to provide evidence of their achievement, which needs to be approved by their leadership. With that approved, the employee is taken off focus and resumes life as it was. If they fail their PIP, the employee is moved onto another program called Pivot. At the first stage of Pivot, they will be offered a severance package. If they choose not to take that, they are given another 30 days to improve in their role and offered a subject matter expert to support them. If their manager isn't satisfied with their improvement at the end of those 30 days, they'll be offered a second and lower severance package. If they choose not to take that, their case will be referred to a jury of peers to review and decide if their manager's decision to put them on a pivot is justified. If the panel uphold it, the employee is given a termination notice and a further reduced severance. Although I appreciate this process seems scary, firstly, you have to remember that the vast majority of Amazonians never have to go through it. The next thing to remember is that all responsible and significantly sized corporations will have a similar process. Amazon is far from unique in having a structured process for how it manages underperformers. In my experience in the UK where I live, where we already have really strong protections for employees' employment rights, the process I laid out is a comparatively rigorous one, with both time and structures to afford an employee the opportunity to improve their performance or opt to exit the business with a financial buffer. Other companies I've worked for and I know of have less, I will call it, generous processes. Now, how fair the process is and how professionally it is utilised is going to be subject to the variables of the quality and professionalism of the individual line manager. But as a process, I don't consider it to be inherently unfair or unreasonable. Before we finish, let's talk about this hire to fire concept that bounces around the web. If this doesn't mean anything to you, to just quickly summarise, it's a theory that Amazon hires certain people with the intention from day one to put them in the 5% lowest bucket. Sacrificial lambs, if you will. Now, I don't know, absurd is the polite word I'll use for this theory. It makes no sense for a hiring manager to invest somewhere between 5 to 15 hours of Amazonians' time interviewing to hire someone just to sacrifice them to the gods of OLR. There's just too much challenging work to be done at Amazon for any hiring manager to settle for less than the best candidate that they can get their hands on. And equally, the data would very quickly surface of any correlation between a manager's hires and who is going onto their focus. It would reflect very, very badly on a manager. To suggest there is a systematic practice across the whole of Amazon is quite frankly inane. So if your version of what is the culture like at Amazon is about performance management, although this certainly wasn't the most fun video I've done, I hope it provides you with some useful information. Please do check out its partner video about promotions, which are also part of how Amazon manages performance and is a lot more upbeat than this one. So that's it. If you found this helpful, please do give it a thumbs up and/or drop a comment in below so that other candidates can find it. Now what you need to do is click the link here to claim your free Day One Careers Customer Obsession taster course. Watch that and you'll nail every customer obsession question asked of you in your Amazon interview. Or if you want to do that a little bit later, why don't you check out more here of our incredible insights and advice on Amazon interview preparation.